Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to care. Living in Alzheimer's disease is an overview of a remarkable illness that has the power to impact every member of your family. The information is a gift to you from those who have gone before, with the sincere hope that you will use their experiences to do what is necessary to build a sound foundation of caring. The steps you take now will enable you and your loved one to better live in Alzheimer's disease. It is useful to learn some basic structural concepts about the healthy brain to understand how it is affected by Alzheimer's disease. The brain could be called the control tower of life. It is crucial to survival because it impacts every function of the body. The senses, emotions, and personality are directed by the brain. The activities of our lives are choreographed by remarkably complex chemical processes taking place in the brain. Your brain is also in charge of bodily functions that happen without your awareness or direction. The brain consists of billions of nerve cells called neurons. The neurons contain a cell body with an axon attached, along with many dendrites. Axons send messages. Dendrites receive them, along with other messages from specialized sense organs. The nucleus of the cell controls the cell's activities. You have just viewed the basic structure of the neurons. The activity you observed was the neurons communicating. This communication occurs when an electrical charge builds up in a neuron that is receiving messages. The charge travels through the cell and down the axon. Chemical neurotransmitters are then released that carry the messages over gaps between the nerve cells. These gaps are called synapses. The chemical messages travel to dendrites equipped with special receptors to receive them. The cell responds to these communications by becoming very active, by sending a new message, or by not acting at all. The neurons working in our brains depend on three mechanisms to survive: communication, metabolism, and repair. Communication is achieved through the electrochemical signal exchange observed previously. If communication is interrupted, normal brain function is altered. Metabolism occurs when chemicals and nutrients are changed into energy. Blood circulation supplies the neurons with the oxygen and glucose needed for survival. Deny them, and the neurons die within minutes. A cell's survival depends upon its ability to repair and remodel itself. If this ability is lost, it may die or be altered. When a person has Alzheimer's disease, the brain is damaged in several ways. All three mechanisms necessary for the proper operation of the brain's neurons are damaged: communication, metabolism, and repair. This damage results in the permanent and progressive alteration of memory, thinking, and behavior. For instance, the hippocampus, located deep in the brain, organizes memories. Damage in this area causes short-term memory loss and impairs the ability to perform familiar tasks. Another area of the brain that is particularly affected is the cerebral cortex. Here lives language and reasoning. Damage in the cerebral cortex results in personality changes that manifest themselves with emotional outbursts and other behaviors, such as wandering and agitation.
Which way can I go home? I have to go home. If you're not going to let me go one way, tell me where I can go another way, because I've got to go home. I can't stay out like
In 1984, at the University of California, San Diego, Dr. George Glenner discovered two structures in the brains of Alzheimer's people that are believed to cause the damage. They are called beta-amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles. Plaques are formed mostly from a peptide fragment of a much larger protein. This peptide fragment, called beta-amyloid, and other matter gather outside of neurons, especially in areas of the brain that function in memory, language, and reasoning. Beta-amyloid plaques are believed to be the cause of Alzheimer's disease. Neurofibrillary tangles form inside nerve cells. They are twisted filaments made up mostly of a protein called tau. Normally, tau functions as part of a structure that forms the framework or cytoskeleton of a cell. The framework structure is like a railroad track, and tau serves as the crosspieces that bind the length of the tracks together. In Alzheimer's disease, these tracks are weakened chemically, and the ties, or tau proteins, fall apart, eventually forming the neurofibrillary tangles. When the structural framework is weakened, the cells may have difficulty carrying nutrients down the length of these tracks or communicating with other nerve cells, and therefore they may die. Both beta-amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles are found in the brains of Alzheimer's people upon autopsy, the only time a 100% accurate diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease can be made. It is important to understand that there is a disease process occurring that kills neurons in key parts of the brain and will harm memory, thinking, and behavior. It is important to realize that as people age, they can expect changes. The body and the mind both respond to the added years, but in different ways. This is normal aging. When people suspect that a loved one has Alzheimer's disease, or that they have it themselves, it is difficult in the beginning to distinguish normal changes due to the passing of years from differences caused by the onset of Alzheimer's disease. Because the onset of Alzheimer's disease is gradual, many people of good faith allow themselves to view mildly disturbing changes in behavior or increased forgetfulness as typical signs of aging. If this is your experience, you are not alone. Depending on what part of the brain is affected, different symptoms are more dominant than others. It is important to understand the variability in the progression of this disease.
My mother had a lot of motor difficulties very early, whereas a lot of Alzheimer's patients never have motor problems, or at least till the end. She lost her ability to walk. She had short-term memory loss and long-term memory loss, and poor judgment. She couldn't write. She was incontinent and all these other things. So a lot of the motor areas of the brain were gone quite early.
Many things can be predicted, however the course will be individual. Do not expect your loved one to behave exactly as the people we will introduce you to in this series.
I think that it's simplistic to talk about the fact that first short-term memory goes and then long-term memory goes. Because there's a lot of in-between and a lot of up and down.
To help define the onset of Alzheimer's disease, we offer an illustration of some warning signs that may indicate AD versus normal aging. These warning signs include examples from real-life experiences contrasted with examples of normal aging issues. The people mentioned are real and are currently living with Alzheimer's disease. It is common to momentarily forget where your car is parked at the shopping mall. Some people do it every time they go there. After some annoying hiking up and down the aisles, the missing car is found, all is well, and you remind yourself to notice that you were in the zebra section the next time you park. This is normal. The Alzheimer's person experiences parking lot confusion and begins to notice that the hiking sessions are not working anymore. They compensate by writing down the zebra section and putting it in their pocket or purse. But they forgot they wrote it down or are unable to locate it. They may look at the zebra sign and see a giraffe or not recognize it at all. They may look at a sea of cars and think that they all look alike. This is a terrifying experience far beyond the annoyance of not finding the car. Take a few days off, don't look at the calendar. You may be confused about the details without your usual schedule to guide you. This is normal forgetfulness. At Halloween time, Hilda was invited to a costume party. Every day she would look at the calendar and ask, "Now, last week was Thanksgiving. Did we attend the Halloween party then?" This is not normal aging. Think of all the steps required to pay your bills. We all make mistakes. As the years go by, sometimes it seems more difficult to work with numbers than it used to be. This is normal. Hilda couldn't find her bills. She couldn't reconcile her checkbook. She spent all of her time going from one stack of papers to another. She didn't know what to do. This is not normal. Remember the time you forgot to serve the yams at Thanksgiving? It happens to busy people. It is normal. Cooking for Hilda was almost impossible. Her kitchen had not been cleaned for months. There was no space on any of the counters. There was no food in the refrigerator because she was afraid to go to the store. She didn't know how much money she had. She had lost a great deal of weight. This is not normal. You will notice that occasionally it may be difficult to find a word. The older one gets, the more often it happens. People have started calling this phenomenon, and others like it, senior moments. This is normal. AD people struggle continuously to articulate their thoughts.
Could I have a wonderful time? But I cannot go anymore. I don't even know the time. Oh, forget it. When it comes, they get it back.
Watch for poor judgment. Most people have a favorite comfortable outfit they wear after work and on the weekend. This is normal. Hilda was wearing the same clothing every day for months at a time because she was unable to choose a different outfit to wear. She had stopped using her washing machine. When she would get dressed up for church, the stains from spilled food would be more than apparent to anyone who spoke to her. She looked like a homeless person. This is not normal. Launching a search for car keys that were put in the other room is probably an experience that many have shared. It is normal. Hilda can't find anything, so she copes by leaving everything out in full view. If she can't see it, she thinks it is lost or stolen. This is not normal. The daily pressures of life can take their toll on everyone. Sometimes people become emotional under stress. This is normal. Think of some of the more anxious dreams you've had where you had no control. This bad dream has become the Alzheimer's person's life. They may respond to a situation with extreme sadness, anger, hatred, or violence. Then follow up with a new mood. This is not normal. As people age, their personality may change, but not by much. Maybe they become a slightly exaggerated version of their former selves. Maybe they're sweeter, or maybe they turn into a curmudgeon. This is normal. People with Alzheimer's disease can change drastically. Their loved ones won't be able to understand why they seem so paranoid, or afraid, or violent. Whatever the change is could be extreme. It rarely is pleasant. It is not normal. Periodically, everyone tires of social obligations, family obligations, or work obligations. Most get over those feelings and continue to enjoy life and remain involved. This is normal. The world of an Alzheimer's person may be very incomprehensible at some point. It's too hard to keep up with the conversation. Maybe they can't find the words anymore. If they have hearing difficulties, it will be even more challenging for them. Many times they will cleverly deny their challenges. This is not normal.
Do you have a hard time turning your hearing aid off and on, Hilder?
No.
No, you don't. How come you leave it off so much then?
Well, when you're here by yourself, there's nothing to hear.
The warning signs we have just outlined are in your handbook, along with tips on how to cope with them. The world of someone dear to you has changed, and so has your world. Now you are no longer the child, the spouse, the brother or sister. The relationship has changed, and you may experience a great sense of loss.
When this happens to someone in the family, there's a shock. You're growing up with it, and then all of a sudden they're a different person altogether.
The truth is, you must have the courage to take over and do what needs to be done to get your loved one diagnosed. An early diagnosis can identify other conditions that, if left untreated, will worsen over time and eventually cannot be treated. Further, in the early stage, Alzheimer's disease is sometimes helped by drug intervention, allowing the person to live a higher functioning life for 6 months to a year. A 100% accurate diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease is only achieved during an autopsy when the hallmark beta amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles can be seen in the brain tissue. These, combined with the history and clinical evaluation of the patient, can determine an Alzheimer's disease diagnosis. However, with a combination of diagnostic tests, experts agree that they can diagnose probable Alzheimer's disease with an 80 to 85% accuracy rate. For these professionals, it is a process of elimination of other forms of dementia that leads them to the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. There are 101 other diseases or conditions that produce dementia. Currently, there is not a single test that physicians can use to diagnose Alzheimer's disease. There is no cure. At best, physicians hope to delay the onset of AD. Age increases the risk for Alzheimer's disease. It is estimated that 1 to 3% of those who are 65 have AD, 5 to 10% of those who are 75, 20 to 48% of those who are 85. There are many approaches, and clinical testing is quite extensive. The exams are done over time. We include tips and tricks in the handbook for getting an affected person to the doctor, along with details about the diagnostic process. Everyone is very concerned with the stages of Alzheimer's disease, and it is useful to acquire a general understanding of the pathway the disease takes. Simply stated, it is progressive with gradual deterioration until death. The person usually lives 8 to 10 years after they are diagnosed. What is important to realize is that each individual will experience his or her own story. The scripts are similar, but the details are personal and unique. Some people will have symptoms in the early stages of AD that are more commonly found in the later stages of the disease. For your part, you can study and learn all the lines in the script, but you must expect to improvise. Because of the fluid nature of the symptoms, we find that the best definitions are Stage 1, the onset or mild stage, Stage 2, the middle or moderate stage, and Stage 3, severe or terminal. Following is a discussion of the 3 stages of Alzheimer's disease. In the beginning, during Stage 1, forgetfulness occurs. They begin to lose things. They forget familiar people's names. They won't be able to remember words. It is dramatic enough that they become concerned. As the disease progresses, they may be returning from the store, and suddenly, nothing will be familiar. At work, their performance slips, and they are aware of the deficiency. They can't fully participate in spontaneous meetings and begin to withdraw to avoid embarrassment. They can't remember the names of people they are introduced to. This embarrasses them. Sometimes they lose something as valuable as a wedding ring. This is very disturbing. Maintaining normal life becomes more difficult. Anxiety begins. Concern will increase to the point where hopefully a diagnosis will be desired. If they are seen by a physician, a deficit will be clear in several of these areas. Recent events are hard to grasp. Their personal histories begin to fade and blur. Finances will become problematic. Denial is their strongest defense, and they may hesitate in challenging situations. Their persona will flatten. In stage 2, all the symptoms from stage 1 increase. When your loved one is evaluated by a professional, they may be unable to remember simple things, such as their address, their phone number, extended family member names, or where they graduated from college. At this point, they most likely will need assistance to survive every day. If asked to count backward from 40 by 4s, they probably will not be able to accomplish the task. They do know their immediate family. They can feed and toilet themselves. But when it comes time to get dressed in the morning, it won't make any sense anymore. In stage 2, they may not remember the name of their spouse. They no longer will anticipate seasons or holidays. Their own history becomes increasingly vague. Events occurring in real time are immediately lost.
It's about the party last night.
Party? What, you made a party?
At Mary Kay's in Todd's.
Oh, I don't remember that. That's 2 hours ago.
They may not be capable of counting back from 10. Incontinence may begin to be a reality. Night and day will become confused. They will still recognize familiar versus unfamiliar people. Their personalities change. Their emotions change. They may have periods when they accuse their spouses of being imposters. In their mind, their spouses are still in their 20s, but the person in front of them appears to be an old woman or man they can't recognize. They may look into a mirror and see an old man and speak to him as though speaking to a stranger, because in their mind they're 20 years old. Hallucinations may occur and make the person see someone who isn't there. They may obsessively and repeatedly clean something. Agitation is common. Some people become violent. They'll be unable to choose a course of action because they can't hold a thought long enough to make a decision. Stage 3 is the end of the journey. The AD person needs constant supervision and assistance. They most likely are unable to speak. They need help with toileting because they will be incontinent both ways. They will need to be fed or cued to eat. They may not be able to walk or will lean to one side. Their steps will become smaller and they will shuffle. It is difficult to hold their head up. Sitting up is usually impossible without help. It seems as though their brains are no longer in charge of their bodies. They may not articulate it, but they will notice your hugs, a gentle massage and care, or listening to music. In this section, we will show you how to prepare to care. We call it getting down to business. We presume your loved one is or will be living with you soon. It is our goal to show you how to be a successful caregiver through the example of those who have gone before you. There are many crucial details that must be dealt with now. They are all emotional, and some are quite difficult, but they create a foundation for effective caregiving. If completed at this juncture, these tasks may save time and money on legal details. The legalities will affect you and the AD person. In most cases, you can expect the person who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease to resist your help and any necessary changes. You may find yourself taking on a parental role. It is necessary because your loved one has a disease that damages the brain. While they may retain their social habits, their ability to make proper judgments has begun to fail them. It is up to you to take over now and choose the best path for the AD person, yourself, and your family. You are managing the care of an individual who no longer can function without help. You need to fit their care into your life. In this section, we will delineate some planning issues you must address to succeed. You will find more details in your handbook. Now is the time to obtain a durable power of attorney. While a person is in the earlier stages of AD, it is crucial that you execute this agreement. It enables you to manage money and medical matters. All 50 states legally honor this document, which empowers you to handle the affairs of the AD person. For example, among many other things, it will allow you to take control of their financial affairs and, if necessary, to place the person in a nursing home. Their assets can be utilized to pay for the care. Clearly, this vital detail can impact the entire family. If you wait too long, it becomes very problematic and expensive. The person allowing the power of attorney must be competent at the time the documents are signed. It is important to have their help when they can still make legally competent decisions. You need them to help you locate their assets. Now is the best time to handle these details. Alzheimer's specialists agree that a durable power of attorney is the most effective and least expensive way to manage the affairs of an AD person. It's a good idea to get an attorney who specializes in elder law to create one for you. They will be of enormous help. Do not put this off, because it will be more difficult to make arrangements as the AD progresses. Remember, your loved one must be considered competent to sign a durable power of attorney. If they are not competent, the power of attorney could be legally challenged. If you are unable to get a durable power of attorney, you may find that a legal conservatorship must be obtained. Conservatorships are far more difficult, more expensive, and more painful. They're expensive because they require the considerable intervention of the court system. Investigators and attorneys will be necessary. Conservatorships are painful because you must prove that your loved one is incompetent, a difficult experience for you and your loved one. Family disagreements may occur over asset and care management. Also, you may have to pay the conservator. If the conservator is an attorney or a business manager, you will pay them for every bill that is mailed on behalf of your loved one. If you wait too long to take care of legal details, you may end up with a conservatorship that consumes precious resources. Issue number 2. Locate and manage the assets. Begin with an inventory. AD people will forget what they have and where things are. Some things to manage: insurance policies, pension information, Social Security information, investment information such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and partnerships, real estate information, bank account information, cash, jewelry, collectibles of worth, safe deposit box keys, miscellaneous valuables such as furnishings, cameras, storage items, wills, inheritance papers, and cemetery plots. There are tips on how to find assets in the handbook. Issue number 3. Consider a living will, also called an advance medical directive. It is time to choose care options. This question asked by a caregiver may help you understand the complexity of a living will. What is the difference between prolonging life and prolonging death? When a person has a reasonable chance of returning to a life where they're aware of what is around them, and they will have a decent existence if a crisis is averted with heroic measures, you are prolonging life. When someone is in the terminal stages of Alzheimer's and only a miracle will allow them to return to a good life, then you are prolonging death. A living will attempts to put you and your loved one in charge of this choice instead of a system that does not ask this question. It is optimal to discuss these issues with your loved one in the early stages. Here are some facts you must understand around this issue. If it is your intent to avoid all heroic measures, in California, a living will or durable power of attorney is not enough. You must have a DNR, or Do Not Resuscitate order, signed by a physician. You can obtain the forms from hospice or a hospital if your physician does not have one. If you can't get satisfaction with those facilities, contact your local area on aging. Make sure that everyone involved in the care of your loved one has a copy of the DNR. In California, if a caregiver calls 911, the paramedics are mandated to do everything possible to revive the patient unless there is a DNR clearly posted in a prominent place. It is very difficult to get cooperation from a nursing facility around this issue. You will have to make difficult choices and assert yourself. Issue number 4, exploring long-term care facilities. Consider what you will do if it becomes necessary to place your loved one in a long-term care facility. Do not dismiss this possibility. It will take some work to find the right program with the right location and price. When you find it, get on the waiting list. If placement becomes necessary, your planning will make it happen on your terms. If possible, include the rest of the family regarding financial issues. Do not allow yourself to be forced into a hasty decision due to a crisis. It will be a traumatic, costly mistake. Issue number 5, explore adult daycare facilities. Down the line, it could be the best choice for everyone. A proven way to minimize agitation and limit medications to a minimum is to keep an Alzheimer's person busy and engaged in life as much as possible. An adult daycare facility with a rich, individualized program of music, singing, exercise, walking, crafts, cooking, and other activities will make your life as a caregiver happier. The sense of community will enrich the life of your loved one. A well-run facility will help the AD person remain at home longer. At the Glenner Centers, many of our people live at home, visiting the centers 8 hours a day during the week until the very final 2 to 3 weeks of life. If you cannot afford a long-term facility, you may be able to afford 1 or 2 days a week at a daycare center. This is a priceless gift to your loved one and to yourself. Visit these facilities to see what it is all about. Some centers are licensed as health and rehabilitation centers, and the services are covered by Medi-Cal. Call the number in your workbook for more information. Issue number 6, convene a family conference to delegate care and financial responsibilities. Issue number 7, participate in a support group. It would be useful if everyone had their own special executive committee of seasoned professionals to help them problem solve and make difficult decisions about life. There is a committee on Alzheimer's disease. It is more commonly called a support group. As the caregiver journey continues, it's easy to become isolated. It will help you if you expand your social circle to include others who are taking care. They will nurture you, teach you, learn from you, and probably share plenty of cookies with you. You will need these people, and you'll make a difference in their lives as well. Issue number 8, plan to simplify your life to make room for caregiving. Caregiving will consume more and more of your time. Think now what can be adapted and what might be dropped. Something will have to give. Most people find it impossible to add caregiving of an Alzheimer's person to their schedule without making some changes. There are many details to attend to. Issue number 9. Plan to increase the amount of help you get. In the beginning, most caregivers believe they can do it all, and they are correct to a certain extent. The price you pay is important to measure. Do not forget yourself. This job will become, if it has not already done so, a greater than 24-hour-a-day challenge. You need to build in breaks for yourself. You must take care of yourself. Your loved one's life may depend on it. You can never do enough for an Alzheimer's person. That fact makes people feel guilty. Let family, friends, neighbors, church friends, and other people in your community help you. They can shop, they can clean, they can water, they can weed and mow. Some of them love to cook. They can keep an eye out for an AD person who wanders the neighborhood. They can do most tasks that you were specific about. Be specific and they will know what to do. Practice accepting help, and your life will be easier. If you can afford to, hire professional caregivers. Your handbook has a list of questions you should ask when hiring a caregiver. Alzheimer's disease impairs the ability to process information correctly and in real time. This means the early onset AD person should not drive. It will be difficult to take driving privileges away. You may feel guilty. If you consider that your loved one could kill someone, it will be easier to take action. Here's a test for you to take. Do you feel safe when driving with your loved one? If not, it is time to make changes. Has your loved one been diagnosed with AD? If so, it is time to make changes. Warning: this is one of the most difficult and painful things you'll have to do. Driving represents freedom and independence. It is horrible to take these rights away from someone, even more so if you have depended on the person to be in the driver's seat. Scandinavian researchers examined 98 drivers over the age of 65 who had died in vehicle accidents. 33% had Alzheimer's disease. 20% had probable Alzheimer's disease. Here are some ways to approach the problem. Discuss your concern with your AD person. Don't accuse them of being unsafe and terrible on the road. Anyone would be defensive when approached that way. Consider bringing up other subjects that could impair the ability to drive. Gently suggest that they are getting absent-minded about driving details such as stop signs or signal indicators. They can save face and have an easy way out. There are other ways to soften the impact. Suggest it is their vision, reduced mobility because of arthritis, or any other acceptable condition. Have someone they trust or honor deliver the news: a doctor, clergy, another family member, or a friend. The doctor could tell the individual that they will get in trouble with the authorities if they are caught driving. Ask your physician to write a prescription that says this person is no longer allowed to operate a vehicle. Offer alternatives: taxi cabs, friends, van rides, bus passes. If your attempts fail, try these approaches offered by caregivers. Try parking the car out of sight. A neighbor's home or driveway may be perfect. Try hiding the car keys or substituting a key that won't work. have a mechanic install a kill switch that disables the car by interrupting the continuity of the primary wire to the coil. Permanently disable the car by removing the rotor or coil wire. If you don't need the car, sell it. It is possible to have their driver's license revoked. Call the Department of Motor Vehicles as a concerned citizen. They will write to your loved one and call him or her in for a driving test. The doctor can do this for you as well. You can also trade a license for an ID card. Have them taken off of the insurance policy. But remember, in confusion or in defiance, probably both, your loved one may forget or stubbornly ignore these details and drive anyway. Chances are they will not remember their close calls. You must disable the car. If you allow a person diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease to drive, you could be liable if there's an accident. Here are some typical obstacles you may encounter. First, the family. You can't take Dad's license away. You'll make him furious. He will never allow this to happen. It is not his choice. Second, friends. Lottie seems fine. Why would you take away her car? She may be fine most of the time, but what happens when she's behind the wheel and suddenly is not fine?
I guess I'm getting too old to have a license.
Third, you as caregiver. It's hard to act as a parent to your own sister or mother. When you are the caregiver of an Alzheimer's person, you have very difficult decisions to make. If ignored, the AD person, your family, and the community are placed in harm's way. In this look at the mid-stage of Alzheimer's disease, we will help you deal with the challenges of managing the more basic activities of daily living, such as toileting and incontinence, eating, dressing, grooming, bathing, and mobility. As the disease progresses through mid-stage, behavior is often affected. We will highlight some of the behavior challenges and offer suggestions on how to manage them. As always, more details are available in the handbook. We begin with incontinence and toileting. Incontinence seems to come with the progression of Alzheimer's disease. You will be able to manage it for a while, but ultimately you will have to cope with it as a permanent condition. It will begin with urinary and progress to bowel as well. The following are some tips regarding urinary incontinence. If it is possible that the onset of incontinence is caused by a medical condition, a doctor should be seen. It may be a urinary tract infection or constipation. A prostate problem, diabetes, stroke, or Parkinson's disease may also cause incontinence. If the person has mobility challenges, they may not be able to get to the bathroom fast enough. Any of these conditions require the attention of a physician. There are several ways to work with incontinence. The first is to practice behavior modification, yours and theirs. Take the person to the toilet every 2 hours and observe the person's routine. Even keep a log. Train yourself to respond to this routine. You will find what the proper interval is. Reduce consumption of beverages that contain caffeine, such as coffee, tea, and sodas. Alcohol is to be avoided. Grapefruit juice is problematic. At the same time, encourage them to drink 6 cups of fluids daily. You could introduce decaffeinated teas, coffee, Jell-O, or fruit juice. Spicy or acidic foods may add to the condition. There may be some detective work in store for you. Watch for clues such as restlessness, wandering, pacing, or pulling at clothes. Additionally, they may make unusual sounds or faces. Make it as easy as possible to use the toilet. If confusion is the cause of not getting there fast enough, put a picture of a toilet on the bathroom door. Make the bathroom door stand out from the wall with either paint or colorful contact paper. Same for the toileting. Leave the door open so the toilet is in clear view. Add a nightlight in the bathroom, hallway, and bedroom, anywhere they might travel at night to reach the bathroom. Make it as easy as possible to take their clothes off. frail arthritic hands have difficulty with buttons, hooks, and zippers, and that goes for caregivers as well as Alzheimer's people. Change the wardrobe to include sweatpants with elastic waistbands. Sometimes regular sweats aren't helpful enough. There are better solutions. Caregivers have found catalogs full of helpful and reasonably priced products. This one has attractive, affordable clothing in regular pull-up styles or rear closure and side zips using Velcro. It's called Buck & Buck Designs. Call the number in your handbook for more information. We purchased these examples to show you. Julie Buck is happy to chat with you and customize a solution for a special problem. Traditional stores such as Sears now provide similar products as well. You may need to help an incontinent person undress, get on and off the toilet, wipe, flush. Here's the best way to transfer a person from a wheelchair to the toilet.
You want me to take me in or not?
Yes, I want you to stand up. I'll help you. Okay? Put your hands on my shoulders. Good. Put your hands on my shoulders. Good. Put your hands on my shoulders. Good. Good. There we go. Beautiful. Good job. Good. Very good. Good. Okay. Good. Very good. We did it.
Here is a caregiver discovery for incontinence protection. There is a product called Rejoice for light to moderate bladder control problems. Rejoice is nice because it is cool, it feels and looks like regular underwear, it's washable, and it uses disposable liners. Rejoice is available at Rite Aid stores and other locations. Call 1-800-FEEL-DRY for a store in your neighborhood. If they can't get to the toilet at night, try a commode in the bedroom. Some will use a plastic urinal. Here's a favorite caregiver catalog for at-home care. Bruce Catalog has many helpful things. Toilet safety rail with adjustable height, elevated toilet seats, tip-proof raised toilet seats with arms, and many other useful products. See the handbook for helpful phone numbers. Many helpful aids for toileting and bathing are covered by Medicare. Use everyday items to remove odors. Some caregivers remove urine smells from clothing and sheets using a little white vinegar in the washing machine. If there is a commode in the bedroom, try this. After you empty it, put some water and Listerine in it. Caregivers report that this removes any odor and smells better than most cleaning agents. Bowel incontinence is a troublesome issue. Often, a decision to place a loved one in a nursing facility is triggered when bowel incontinence is not controllable. The stories can be difficult to hear. Messes everywhere. All of the work around urinary incontinence applies to bowel incontinence as well. So check their medications, especially laxatives and suppositories. Make sure they're not suffering from constipation. Of course, take them to the toilet every 2 hours, after a meal, and before bed. Your handbook has a list of things caregivers shouldn't be without. Caregivers offer these common sense tips. Do not scold. Kindly show appreciation when things go well. Remove any physical obstacles to getting to the bathroom in time. Consider using a raised toilet seat with grab bars to make it easier to sit. Fear of falling is an issue, and it may hurt them to plop down on a hard toilet seat if they are arthritic. Here's how to deal with the only a little at a time syndrome. AD people can lose the ability to push, and that can result in little movements occurring all the time. Caregivers suggest giving products such as Metamucil or Fibercon to bulk up and soften the stool. This makes it easier for the person to have a movement and avoid the little bit at a time syndrome. It is crucial that people taking these products drink plenty of fluids, 6 cups per day at least. Because of the confusion, toilet paper as well as washcloths and tissues are problematic. AD people tend to fill the toilet with these items. Leave only a small amount of toilet paper and remove the others. Help them succeed when possible with these little stagings. Use diet, proper fluid intake, and exercise to help regulate people with their bowel movements. It may help you to get them on a schedule you can anticipate. Because medications can affect every part of care, keep a list of the names and dosages of all medications used. This will make it easy to answer questions from medical professionals. And be sure to keep all medications locked away or in a safe place. Alzheimer's people and bathing is an interesting subject. Generally, they don't like bathing. They don't think it's necessary, and they don't want to help you out. The rest is in the details. The bathroom is a very dangerous place. There are many sharp items and ways to shock, cut, slip, trip, fall, and poison. Here are some things you'll need to deal with. Zigzag grab rails in slippery areas, shown in the Bruce catalog, will help keep wet hands from sliding. Non-skid decals help in the bath and shower. Use a bench in the bathtub. Here is one from the Bruce catalog that is reasonable in price. The person can sit down outside of the tub, allowing you the room to move their legs into the tub and enough space for you to sit if desired. An absolute must, a handheld shower nozzle. Alzheimer's people do not like water hitting them in the face. With a handheld nozzle, you can gently bathe them, and they can even keep their glasses on. Remove razor blades. Replace with electric shavers for men, and consider not shaving legs or underarms for women. Keep the electric shaver out of sight as well. Remove area rugs. Remove portable heaters unless they have an automatic shut-off thermostat. Consider adding a telephone in the bathroom for emergencies or to answer calls. Remove locks from doors if you cannot unlock them from the outside. Replace the glass shower door with a shower curtain. AD people often cannot detect temperature changes. Adjust the water heater so that they do not burn themselves. Give them guided choices about bathing, such as, "Today is Tuesday and it's your bath day. Would you like to bathe before you eat your breakfast?" If they say no, then respond with, "Okay, we'll have it after breakfast." One caregiver had success with a printed schedule she could refer to. The AD person was more inclined not to argue when he saw it in writing. She would say, "It's time for your bath. See the schedule?" Another caregiver suggestion: have the doctor prescribe 2 therapeutic baths per week, written on a prescription pad so that it's official. Try to make bathing a pleasant ritual when possible. It need only occur twice a week, with some spot cleaning in between. It should occur during the time of day that the AD person is at their best. Use bribes such as cookies if you meet with resistance. Consider that a person may be embarrassed and resist the bath because they don't appreciate being naked to the world. Use a sheet to cover them while you wash underneath. If they absolutely refuse, take their clothes off, but allow them to bathe with their underwear on. Let them have a task to help with during the process. For example, holding a washcloth or using it to wash themselves. Don't let them get cold. They may rebel. One caregiver puts a large towel in the dryer while the bath is in progress and unfolds her loved one in warmth when she emerges from the bath. Make sure the bathroom is well lighted. In time, you may need to guide them through the steps of bathing. For example, take the washcloth and clean under your arm. You may decide that it's no longer safe to transfer your loved one in and out of tubs and showers. At that point, sponge baths may have to suffice. One caregiver bathes her AD person while the person is on the toilet. She wraps towels around her and puts some on the floor to catch extra water. She's able to wash her hair this way as well, using a washcloth. People don't die from not having a bath. Be flexible and willing to compromise your standards. Eating can be a challenge. With some caregiver-tested techniques, you can achieve greater success. A balanced diet with proper liquid and fiber intake will help manage incontinence through avoiding urinary tract infections, constipation, and diarrhea. Enabling people to feel that they have some control in their life is always a good approach. With eating, the use of finger foods often has the best results. Patience from you is usually necessary. Prepare the food ahead of time. Butter the toast and cut it up. Put the dressing on the salad. Put the food on the plate. Remove distractors such as salt and pepper. If someone is extremely confused, place only one thing at a time on the plate. As Alzheimer's disease progresses, eating becomes more challenging because the person may not recognize the food before them. They may not understand what the utensils are for and may have difficulty swallowing food. You may need to cue a person to eat. This is how to do it. Give clear and simple instructions.
I'm going to take it like this.
Break down the process into simple steps and wait for them to respond to each step.
Good.
Tell them, pick up your fork, put the banana on it,
This in your hand.
bring the fork up to your mouth.
And then you can eat that, okay? Good.
If they are not able to follow verbal directions,
Good.
show them
That's right.
or guide them.
Go ahead. Try it again.
Start by gently placing their hand on a utensil and then guide it to their mouth.
Very good.
This often will cue the person to begin eating. Here are some utensils that may help your AD person eat more successfully and comfortably. They also aid people with arthritis and other disabilities because they're easy to grip. It's often a good idea to offer only the utensils necessary for the meal and eliminate the knife entirely. Chewing and swallowing may become very difficult. Many caregivers report that their loved ones chew incessantly and inappropriately. They choke frequently. They chew their liquids and then inhale them, or lower their heads and have the liquids dribble out of their mouth. They tend to store food in their cheeks because they've forgotten to swallow. You may have to puree the food for your AD person. Having said that, it might not be enough because the texture won't lend itself to ease of swallowing. There is a product for this situation called Thick and Easy, distributed by HomeNet. Thick and Easy is a starch that will bring liquids and pureed foods up to the consistency of pudding. It is very popular among caregivers who have reported that it helps maintain proper liquid intake because all the liquid that is bonded is released after it is swallowed. HomeNet also sells frozen pureed food, and they even have molds that make the food look pleasant. When you are working with people who tend to choke on their food for various reasons, you must watch them and be prepared to intervene when an accident occurs. It is crucial to be capable of administering the Heimlich maneuver. The Heimlich maneuver is a procedure that every member of the family should understand how to perform. If you are not able to take a course in first aid, ask your physician to demonstrate this effective procedure to you. There are also first aid publications that illustrate the steps you need to take. Some AD people tend to forget how to swallow, keeping food stored in their cheeks. If that occurs, they might choke long after the appointed mealtime. For that reason, you need to understand how to execute the Heimlich maneuver in several positions. It can be performed when they are seated, when they are standing, or when they're in a prone position. As you can see, it is important to supervise an AD patient who tends to choke. They may need your help.
How are you now? Talk to me. Talk to me. You okay? Good.
Here are some other details about eating. AD people cannot discern temperatures or cannot communicate a problem. Make sure the food is not too hot. Check to see if they swallowed everything after a meal. Monitor portions. They will not be able to do this. If a person does not remember eating and always asks for more, try this. Only serve one thing at a time. You can detect problems. Look for changes, too much snacking, dramatic weight loss or gain, bowel problems. A change in diet may need to be made. If you suspect problems, a physician can perform blood work that may answer your concerns. The first approach to dressing is to choose the wardrobe for the day and lay it out so that the clothing they put on first is on top of the stack. First the underwear, then the shirt, then the pants, then the socks, and the shoes. There are no rules about the order of things. However, if you don't want them to wear the underwear on top of their pants, don't stack the pants on top of the underwear, because that will be how it is worn. AD people have a remarkable capacity to defeat your best efforts. They just may stubbornly decide to get dressed again. When they emerge, the results will most likely not conform to conventional standards. If you can be flexible on this issue, it is best to allow them this freedom at home. Think of how many parents of teenagers are being defeated around clothing issues daily. You are not alone. The dressing activity, as with all others, will challenge them. Give them the space and time to succeed wherever possible. When you help them, inform the person what you're about to do. Tell them, "I'm going to brush your hair now." They need help with dental care, but might not open their mouth. Brush the front of the teeth. It may inspire them to cooperate. If they refuse, move on to something else, and return to teeth brushing later. Sometimes oral swabs may be more effective. Always allow the person to do as much as he or she is capable of. Try not to make them feel rushed. Caregivers have stated that they choose short, pixie haircuts to keep their loved one's hair out of their face and easy to wash. Pay attention to the feet. There are wonderful and easy-to-use shoes available. A crepe sole will help prevent falls. Velcro fasteners make dressing easier. If incontinence is a problem, buy washable shoes. These samples are from the Buck & Buck catalog. Just like teenagers, many AD people tend to wear the same thing daily. It is very important to them. If that is the case, attempt to purchase very similar garments to allow for laundering. If that fails, wash at night for the next day. This too will pass. Here is Augusta as she nears the end of her journey through life with Alzheimer's disease. She rarely speaks. She sleeps almost all the time in a fetal position. She has lost weight. It is difficult for Augusta to sit up, and when she can speak, she asks to go to bed. Augusta now lives in a long-term care facility. Notice her hands. When her daughter brings in someone to perform massage therapy, Augusta responds by relaxing. Observe her hands before the therapy and during. Clearly, this is comforting to her. In this stage of the disease, people fade in and out. Sometimes they appear to get better, and then they worsen. It is difficult to predict when the end will come. When people reach the end stages, and in many cases before that, they may require more help than you can give. This is when your foundation work at the beginning stage of the disease pays off. You may want to place your loved one in a long-term care facility. Hopefully you'll have had your name on a waiting list and a place will be available. This is the time to call on hospice. At this stage, the best hope for the AD person is to make sure they are comfortable and not in pain. It is your time to prepare to let them go. The people from hospice will help you, but they will not perform heroic medical procedures that prolong the dying process. Tips on steps you need to take at this time appear in your handbook. There are clinical signs that indicate the end is near. Twitching of the arms and legs, cold skin. The feet, hands, lips, arms, and legs become blue or blotched-looking. A fever may occur. Urinary output may disappear or be very small. Relaxation of facial muscles may occur. Breathing patterns may change. They become faster and deeper, then slower or no breathing at all for up to 60 seconds. Breathing will have a rattle, gurgle, or bubbling sound to it. Most AD people will be unconscious at this point, but you can help by touching and stroking them. It is a time to speak of good memories and how much you care for them. Hold their hand when you can, and wait with them. No one can clearly predict when the end will come. It will be the last surprise. We have presented difficult information for you and your family to understand when you are faced with the care of a loved one. It is a challenge that will change your lives, but it does not have to be hopeless. Alzheimer's disease is a journey over time that includes many years of living. You can improve the life of your loved one and yourself by choosing not to isolate yourselves. Take advantage of the community resources available to you, such as support groups. You will find help and friendship when you participate in these groups, and you will help others when you offer solutions you've had success with. Finally, make sure your loved one participates in programs that allow adult activities and community experiences in a safe, loving atmosphere, and you will increase the quality of a life lived in Alzheimer's disease.